format. We're keeping you muted and to time, which is a YTM way to make sure that everybody gets a chance to have conversations. I'm going to have a conversation with Jen about surviving the business journey. Some of you may have seen the blog that I wrote just recently about Jen in the insights on YTM. So we're not going to cover all that again. You can certainly go back and have a look at that. And we were talking about how, to be a traveller, you need to be resourceful. And certainly when you own a travel business, you need to be very resourceful, particularly in today's climate. So Jen is the owner of Hello World Travel in Bentley and grew up and worked as a teenager in her family travel business. Now, I started my career at Burns Filk Travel, so we had quite a few similarities in mine there. She was drawn back into the travel industry in her early 20s and was first a tour leader in Japan and then a travel consultant. Please read more about her background from that perspective, but tonight we're talking about business and surviving the journey. And so Jen, we're going to talk about the past and the future and roll it all up together. First question is, as a business owner, what do you believe the importance of creating your own vision is then, in the past, and now?
Life's changed an awful lot in the last 6 weeks, particularly in the travel business. My vision when I first started up my business 10 years ago was to build up a business that could support me, that would operate profitably without me in it. So effectively that would give me a passive income into my retirement. If I'd retired last year, I would have been fine. But last year I decided to expand my vision and open a new agency, which is my new shop in Bentley. And the vision was to have an even better retirement. That said, that better retirement involved a little bit of volunteering, taking people on volunteering trips, etc., etc. That vision in the last 6 weeks, for most people, I think COVID-19 is probably 3 weeks old, maybe 4 weeks old. For the travel industry, it's close to 8 weeks old to 10. For us, that vision has changed incredibly, and my vision right now is to get through COVID-19 and to have a business that will support us into the future again, but to keep my staff employed, to keep people having wonderful holidays, because I think we're going to struggle with that going forward. I think people are going to be a little bit gun shy. So our vision is to teach people to travel again.
Great. So support system, particularly, at times like this, you need to tap into when you're running a business. And how have you managed that in the past, and how has that benefited you?
We talked about this today, and my biggest support system around me is friends and family. Obviously, a lot of my friends are in the industry. So friends and family are a fabulous support, and I think it's taken me a long time to learn to accept support from friends and family, particularly in a business environment, but also being involved with people who are doing similar things, even if they're not sort of in my circle of friends per se. Being involved with people who are doing different things. The travel industry at the moment, there's a great Facebook page where travel agents are actually supporting each other like you would not believe, swapping war stories. How did you deal with this? How did you deal with that? What about this airline? They're not helping their clients. What do we do here? Those sort of support networks have been really, really valuable now. But even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they were also really, really valuable. And just the networking groups that we built over time, and being able to connect with people like yourself who are talking about your businesses and putting mine back into perspective in some respects. 6-8 weeks ago, I thought the bottom had fallen out of my world. When I realised what was going to happen with international travel around the world, I thought the bottom had fallen out. I thought my business is gone, both of my businesses are gone, and I'm going to be in a pension for the rest of my life. But the support networks that I've had around me have actually held me up during that time, and slowly but surely we figured out that we're going to get through it.
Excellent.
The other thing is things like YTM make a big difference. Lee and Kerryn have been amazing in the last couple of weeks. Just little things like ringing just to check in and make sure we're doing okay. That is invaluable. It just kind of gives you that little turnaround that you need.
Thank you. And it was so lovely to ring the other day and for you to tell me that you'd given all your staff a gift of Rescue Remedy. And I thought that was just such a lovely thing to do. And I thoroughly recommend Rescue Remedy if you need to calm your nerves and whatever, go and get some. So coping with highs and lows, every business has faced, and you've talked about that. But also we were going to talk about the priorities and the 5 key elements that you think a business owner needs to really consider, and where your 5 priorities are in general and definitely in this time.
In general and in this time, my highest priority, I can't say it enough, is my team. My staff are everything to me. If I didn't have my team, I wouldn't have a business. They are the people that they're holding me up at the moment, and they're the reason that I wake up in the morning. But the reason I need them so badly is because they are the ones that look after our customers. And I've got an amazing team of consultants. They are all brilliant. 2 in particular, I would say, are amongst the best in Australia. So, you know, I have to look after my staff first and our customers second. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but for me, that's how we roll, and that's how we've been successful to date. The 3rd priority would have to be good business processes. Right now, they're what's holding our team together. Just knowing that there is a process to follow. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. They know what their processes are, and that helps them to manage their work on a day-to-day basis, given that their hours have been cut back and they don't know what the future holds. They've got a process to follow, and that gives them confidence. But also those sorts of processes around cash flow, around just managing everything around the financial side of the business. If we didn't have good processes in place before we came into this time, we would be in all sorts of strife. So, and we're not. We're in a good place right now because we have all of that. The other 2 things that I'm really passionate about in my business, and they do underpin everything we do, are integrity. Even if we have to tell a client something they don't want to hear, and right now that's happening more often than we'd like, we know we have the integrity to tell them and not to sugarcoat it or anything like that. I think it's pretty important. We're dealing with a lot of people have invested a lot of money in their travel. They need to know where they stand. They don't want to hear platitudes about, oh, I think we can get this sorted for you when we can't. That integrity has to be there, and it will stand us in good stead for the future. And transparency, everything is on the table. Everybody can see everything about our business. I don't have any problems with that. That's because we have nothing to hide, basically. And they're probably the 5 things that underpin our business at any time, but right now they are so important. Our first and our customers second. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but for me, that's how we roll, and that's how we've been successful to date. Um, the third priority would have to be good business processes. Right now, they're what's holding our team together. Just knowing that there is a process to follow. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. They know what their processes are, and that helps them to manage their work on a day-to-day basis, given that their hours have been cut back and they don't know what the future holds. They've got a process to follow, and that gives them confidence. But also those sorts of processes around cash flow, around just managing everything around the financial side of the business. If we didn't have good processes in place before we came into this time, we would be in all sorts of strife. So, and we're not. We're in a good place right now because we have all of that. The other two things that I'm really passionate about in my business, and they do underpin everything we do, are integrity. Even if we have to tell a client something they don't want to hear, and right now that's happening more often than we'd like, we know we have the integrity to tell them and not to sugarcoat it or anything like that. I think it's pretty important. We're dealing with a lot of people have invested a lot of money in their travel. They need to know where they stand. They don't want to hear platitudes about, oh, I think we can get this sorted for you when we can't. That integrity has to be there, and it will stand us in good stead for the future. And transparency, everything is on the table. Everybody can see everything about our business. I don't have any problems with that. That's because we have nothing to hide, basically. And they're probably the 5 things that underpin our business at any time. But right now, they are so important.
They say when you choose someone to work with, you should work with someone that has the same sort of values as you do. And when we met Jen, and it was quite clear that we shared the same love of community, the same wish to help people. And so we were very pleased to ask her to be a sponsor and be involved with YTM. And we set up the travel bank. So Jen, perhaps if you'd like to talk about your contribution to community, because I know you've also been in Bendigo Bank, just like Lee was, as a volunteer there, and how you've used community to build your business, and a little bit about the YTM Travel Bank, which will come back alive and well in a few months.
So when I first started my business I decided to see, well, we needed the support of the local community. Bentley's a little bit different, but in Monbulk, we need the support of the local community. So we got really involved, and it made all the difference. That's the reason that we were successful, was being involved in the community. So because we were getting a lot of inquiries from people saying, can we have some money for this? Can we have some money for that? You know, here $100 there, $200, $1,200 here, $1,000 here. We were happy to give that out into the community and help, but the problem was we couldn't understand. We had no way of measuring what impact that was having on our business. We knew intuitively that it was having an impact, but we had no way of measuring it. To do was to allow any not-for-profit, any group that wanted assistance, and set up a travel bank. And in a travel bank, every time someone from their group makes a booking with us, we put 1.5% of everything they spend back into the group that they come from, into the travel bank of the group they come from. And whilst we're only just starting up in Bentley, we've got a couple of good travel banks, and we've done a couple of very nice trips for some of our local groups, cricket clubs and schools. In Monbulk, we've made a substantial contribution to the local football club, we're quite a big difference. We give those contributions back in the form of travel, but that travel is often exactly what most of these groups need, or they can use it as a prize.
Great, thank you. Andrew Wilson's got a question for you, Jen. If no one is travelling, how are you generating revenue at this moment?
We're not.
Right.
We're facing right now 6 months of no revenue whatsoever. At least 6 months, possibly 12. So right now we're working on we're very closely watching government stimulus, because that will be helpful. But in the short term, we're using our cushion that we need, that we set up before we started either of these businesses. So we've got to rely on those. But, we'll come out at the other end, and that cushion, that's what it was for. So now that's what we're using.
Thank you. Now, I know that when we wrote the blog, I asked you at the end what was your favourite quote about time and business. And she assures me that this unprecedented time we find ourselves is not her fault, but her quote was, "Change nothing and nothing changes." I love change. It brings it with so many opportunities and challenges. Bring it on.